Oh man, these eggs are so good. Toast. Coffee. Oh, who's called? Oh, it's a dealer. Hey John, thanks so much for getting me in for that brake job. Car's all good. I don't need anything else, right? I can come pick it up. Oh, it needs two more things. A fuel flush and a power steering fluid flush. What's that? The car's like practically brand new. It only has 30,000 miles on it and it runs and drives perfectly. Oh, it's maintenance? John, I gotta say, I've looked in my owner's manual and I've never heard of those. Honestly, this kind of sounds like a big old wallet flush to me. Cars have evolved in just about every single category, including maintenance. Remember when a car's odometer would only reach 100,000 miles? And to reach that magical 100,000 mile mark, you had to perform oil changes every 3 months or 3,000 miles. You had to do coolant flushes and trans flushes every couple of years. And let's not even talk about points, condensers, and spark plugs. Those days are long gone, and over the last couple decades, we've seen required service maintenance intervals either be drastically extended or eliminated altogether. On today's cars, ranging from your cheapest base model EcoBox all the way up to a super luxurious BMW 750i like the one right behind me, you can go a full year without an oil change. Coolant flushes are good for at least 100,000 miles, and some fluids like transmission fluid are considered a lifetime. So why is it in an era where auto manufacturers are scaling back required maintenance, are we seeing dealerships, repair shops, and quick oil change places recommending things like power steering fluid flushes and fuel injection flushes? You'd be really hard pressed to find either of these in your owner's manual as required or even recommended maintenance. Go ahead and look. So what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Alex, and in today's video, I'm gonna give you my opinion on whether or not you need to perform so-called maintenance items outside of what's recommended by the auto manufacturer or what's listed in your owner's manual. I'm also gonna give you a couple cheaper alternatives to the two services that I had mentioned previously if you so choose to do them. But I'm gonna do this all from the comfort of my heated garage because it's still winter here in Chicago and I'm freezing. Now, I wanna start off and say that this video is based off of my 16 years of experience in the automotive repair industry, 9 of those years as a journeyman level Mercedes-Benz dealership technician. I was also a service consultant for Mercedes-Benz, and for about the last 5 years, I've been a shop foreman at a massive fleet operation where we take care of thousands of different cars from almost every make out there. And I've performed a couple thousand of these services myself. Now, this video will be referring to gasoline-powered engines that have normal port fuel injection. I will cover the very real issue of carbon buildup on direct injected engines in a future video, so definitely stay tuned for that. Let's start off and take a look at the fuel injection cleaning or the fuel flush. There's a lot of different ways of saying this out there. And I'll show you guys a little bit on what the technician does when he performs this service. All right, guys, we're under the hood of my 99 C43 AMG, and please don't mind the general disarray under here. This car was only $200 and it's sort of a huge project, but it'll serve as a perfect example to show you guys how a technician will hook up their special tool to perform the fuel injection cleaning or the fuel system cleaning or however they want to call it. Basically, every car with port fuel injection will have a test port. Normally it has a black cap like that, and what this is used for normally is to check for fuel pressure if they're trying to diagnose an issue with your car, the way that it's running. This also serves as an excellent point of entry for a fuel system cleaner. So the technician will hook up a hose and fitting just like this one, except it will lead to a canister that is filled with their special cleaning solution. That canister is then pressurized. They disable the fuel pump on your car, and your engine will actually run off of this cleaning solution instead of the gas in your tank. The cleaning solution will go through the fuel rail all the way around. It will hit each one of the injectors, 8 in the case of this V8 engine, and it will spray right on the intake valve just like normal, and it'll get right into the combustion chamber just like it normally would with gasoline as well. The idea here, guys, is really simple. The cleaner runs through the fuel injector. It's supposed to clean that out and then remove carbon deposits from things like your intake valve, your piston, and the combustion chamber. So what do I think of services like this after having literally performed thousands of them? Well, I've boroscoped engines after doing a service just like this, and I gotta say the results are always just kind of okay at best. Certainly not good enough to improve things like fuel economy and engine performance like so many of these companies claim. Let's put it this way. Expectations need to seriously be managed better. We've all seen the brochure in the waiting room where they give you the absolute worst case scenario, totally gummed up intake valve or totally clogged fuel injector, and after one miracle service at only $149.99, everything is perfectly clean and brand new. That is so far from the truth, it is ridiculous. I had this super neglected 19-year-old Mercedes on the dyno not too long ago, and it produced the exact same amount of horsepower that it did 19 years ago, and it's never had any of these fuel injection services done before, and my fuel economy is exactly what the sticker says as well. So how many of you guys out there have 10, 15-year-old cars that have never had a service like this, and you're still getting fantastic fuel mileage, and your car has never had a running rough issue from carbon deposits? The fact is that modern day fuel, especially top tier fuel, has a lot of detergent, which is what you're running in one of these cleaners. This is continually cleaning out your engine, and carbon deposit hasn't been a real issue on port fuel injected cars in a very, very long time. So please comment down below. Let me know how awesome your old car is running without any of this stuff. Before we get to the power steering flush, I wanted to mention like my main beef with this fuel injection service cleaning flush, or however they want to call it, and that is how it is sold to the client. A lot of times this is just slid in with actual factory recommended services like doing your brake fluid flush and your coolant flush, and it's listed on par with those. It's not separated out, which is not right. Also, I've seen this sold to people that are leasing a vehicle or to people that get a new car every 2 or 3 years, and they will see absolutely no benefit from a service like this. So if you want to do something, I would get top tier fuel. Fuel from Costco and Shell. They have a lot of detergents. I'll leave a link down below to top tier gasoline. And also if you want to run something, some kind of fuel injection cleaner, you can dump it right into your tank. You just have to make sure that you get one with a chemical called polyethyramine. It's PEA for short. Now, I don't do this. None of my mechanic friends do this either, but it's not going to hurt. And PEA has been proven to clean up carbon. So if you're going to keep your car forever, this might not be a bad idea. Now, to be fair to Valvoline and companies like that, they do offer an extended warranty if you keep up with their predetermined service intervals of like 15 to 30,000 miles on these types of services. And some of them will offer an extended warranty on like your fuel system and some of them on the engine, but you got to read the fine print. But just do the math. If you spend 150 bucks every 15 to 30,000 miles and you have a failure at 100,000 miles, let's say a fuel injector for 500 bucks, that doesn't really pay out. And after 9 years of doing these services, I had never seen one claim in the entire shop. So let's move on to the power steering fluid flush. I'll show you guys how the technician performs this, and we'll talk about whether or not you need it. For this one, we're under the hood of my 2003 E55, mainly because it's just prettier. But let me show you a typical power steering fluid reservoir. And this cart's located right here, and it has a cap you can pull out with a little dipstick. So for the power steering fluid flush, basically the technician will take 2 clear hoses just like this, and they'll put them in the reservoir like so. And then those hoses will lead to a fluid exchange machine. So basically they'll be pumping fluid into one hose into the system and sucking out old fluid with the other side. And they'll do this all while the engine is running. So the power steering pump is circulating the fluid. Basically they run a cleaner through the entire system. And then after the cleaner is done, they simply introduce the factory style power steering fluid back into the system and top it up. My issues with the power steering fluid flush are very similar to my problem with the fuel injection service cleaning flush, in that it's sold under the false pretenses and the assumption that this is a factory recommended service, which it is not. Another thing I've seen, because so many of you email me your repair estimates every single week and I look them over and off for my guidance, I see that many shops will try and sell these two services as an actual repair for a real problem. So for example, your power steering is a little hard, it's making a groaning noise, they'll sell a flush and your car will be fixed, because after the flush, they just topped up the power steering fluid. In reality, that was your only issue. Your power steering was a little bit low. This happens a lot in the winter time. I've seen it for the fuel injection service, not as often, but sometimes they'll sell this if you have a check engine light and a misfire as the first part of diagnosis, which is wrong. Now, one thing to add to that is that if you have an older car with an older style fuel injection, we did see issues with fuel injectors back in the day. There is a service where they can remove the rail and manually clean each injectors, and that's a legitimate service.
service. So I want to kind of like separate that. I agree with that service. So with all that being said, the power steering flush is not a total sham. I actually do flush out my power steering fluid every once in a while, but I just do it in a way cheaper method. So let me show you what I do. I use a pneumatic sucking type of device here. You hook up shop air there, and then you stick this in the power steering reservoir, suck out the fluid, and you add new fluid. I do this maybe like once every year or two. You don't need to do it all that often. If you don't have shop air, you can use a manual tool like this one that will suck out the fluid and do the exact same thing. Or if you're balling on a budget, you can just go into your kitchen and steal the turkey baster. And I've actually seen people use this on $100,000 cars. This is a great tool for any mechanic in their garage, as it can fit in little weird places. So anyway, use a turkey baster if you don't have a lot of money to spend on this stuff. And this will cost you a couple bucks a year on power steering fluid and maybe 3 minutes of your time. So I believe this is a lot more effective, cost-effective method of doing this, and you're gonna keep your power steering fluid just as clean. Now, just to throw it out there, Valvoline offers that same kind of warranty here, but again, I've never seen it actually claimed ever. And there you have it. That is my opinion on add-on maintenance items. And I just want to say, none of this stuff is actually bad for your car. It's not going to hurt anything. I just don't believe that it's all that necessary, especially with modern day cars. And I also think that your money is much better spent on actual recommended services. So make sure you're up to date on everything before you consider one of these add-ons. And to add to that, if you guys do not have an owner's manual that's probably sitting in your glove box, you got to get one of these books. You can order one at your local dealership, or I will leave a link down below where you can get them online. Your owner's manual will have all the recommended services listed for your specific car. So just follow exactly what the owner's manual says, and your car is going to be just fine. To Valvoline or any similar company out there that sells these products, if you'd like to prove me wrong, I am all ears. And to anybody out there, if you guys need automotive advice, if you have a general question about anything car related, please email me at legitstreetcars@gmail.com. I'd absolutely love to help you. I hope that everybody out there has a fantastic day, and I will see you all in the next video.